Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to another video of Be the Best DFS Daily Fantasy Sports Talk. My name is Bradford Best, and today is August 6, 2016, and I'm going to be going over my lineup strategies and ideas and thoughts for FanDuel's main slate for the MLB tonight. Last night, I came up short. My lineup scored 114 points, and I wasn't able to cash for anything. I had Blake Snell at pitcher. He gave me 34 points. He didn't really hurt me, but there were better options on the board. You had Garcia for St. Louis. He had 69 fantasy points. You had Stephen Wright for the Boston Red Sox. He pitched a complete game shutout. There probably were other options also. So I kind of messed up on pitcher. And as for my lineup, a couple big time players let me down. Buster Posey got a big 0. Ian Desmond, he got 0 points. Chris Davis, he got 3. Jake Lamb had 3 points. The highlights of my lineup, Brad Miller got me 21 fantasy points. Mookie Betts, he got me 28 points. I used him instead of Mike Trout. And I also had used Mark Teixeira. He had got me 18 fantasy points. But overall, I just wasn't able to win anything. Today is a new day, fresh start. So let's just get into this slate for today. And starting at the first position, pitcher position for tournaments and GPPs, my favorite pitcher for tonight is Christian Martinez of the St. Louis Cardinals. We saw what Garcia did last night against the Braves, and I believe that it's going to be similar results tonight. I'm a Braves fan, and their offense is just, I say, inconsistent to say the least. And based on the way they struggled last night, I think they come in tonight and do the same thing. Nobody really have a good history against Martinez. The wind is supposed to be blowing in a little bit. And considering Martinez's salary price, I think he's my top play for tournaments and GPPs today. As I look at his game log, his last 2 games, which were on the road, weren't impressive. July 31st, 21 fantasy points, and July 26th, 30 fantasy points. But his last home game, which was on July 20th, he scored 42 fantasy points. And I'll take 40 or more tonight. That'll be good for me, I think. But other options at pitcher that you can consider tonight, of course, you got the top dollar player, Steven Strasburg. Now, I think you should fade Strasburg because it's a premium price you're paying for him. And I respect San Francisco's offense. I saw their lineup tonight. They're putting out a lot of left-handed bats in Denard Span, Brandon Belt, Brandon Crawford, Angel Pagan, who's a switch hitter. So, you're paying a premium price for Strasburg, and if he somehow has a bad game, that can just ruin your night for you. Now, if you can afford to put out multiple lineups, I would put some with Martinez and then some with Strasburg. But if you just only have one lineup, you don't want to be too risky. And at that price tag, I'd rather save a couple thousand less on Martinez and spend up on some bets rather than pay the $11,600 for Strasburg. But that's just my opinion. Strasburg, he's a great player. He could go out, put up 50 or 60 fantasy points. But I just think Martinez can do the same thing tonight at $2,000 cheaper. And the other pitcher that you could possibly consider tonight, Danny Duffy for the Kansas City Royals. He's pitching at home in the Pitchers Park in Kauffman Stadium. His last game, I'm sure everybody know about this, on August 1st, 84 fantasy points against the Tampa Bay Rays. The thing that scares me about Duffy tonight is that he's a left-handed pitcher going up against a Toronto Blue Jays lineup who have some powerful right-handed bats in Josh Donaldson, Edwin Encarnacion, Jose Bautista, and Troy Tulowitzki. So personally, that really, really scares me, and I can't pull the trigger on Duffy. But a lot of people may be thinking the same way as me, being scared to pull that trigger which makes it a good tournament play. So I mean, he's shown he has an upside to get at least 84. I know he's not going to get that much tonight, but he had 16 strikeouts the last game. That shows he has high strikeout upside also. So if you want to consider Duffy, if you're not scared of the Blue Jays lineup, then he could also be a good tournament play. But other than that, I don't see anyone else at pitcher that I really like tonight for tournaments and GPPs. If I had to pick a fourth option, I would pick Sanchez of the Blue Jays because Kansas City, their offense has been struggling over the last couple of weeks. But other than that, I wouldn't mess with any of these other pitchers for tournaments and GPPs. But I could be wrong, though. Moving on. Now, for the rest of my lineup, if you watched the video yesterday, I'm not doing stacks anymore. I mean, I just feel that if you're stacking lineups, you have to be able to, have that bankroll where you can have exposure to different stacks. I'm focused on just trying to get the best player at each position, and hopefully that translates into success for me where my lineup can score a lot of points. So starting at the catcher position, my favorite play for tonight for tournaments and GPPs would be Jonathan Lucroy of the Texas Rangers. Of the Texas Rangers. His price tag is $3,000. He had last night off, and the last game he played was on August 4th, and he hit a home run. So I think it's kind of good to stay with the hot hand, being that he had a day off for rest. He has fresh legs, and maybe he get into a streak of hitting home run in consecutive games. He's also they're playing in a good hitter's park, Minute Maid Park, and Lucroy, he's a player that hits for power as well as he hits for a nice batting average. He's batting .296 on the season, 14 home runs. So a combination of power and good hitting. I like Lucroy as my favorite option for catcher tonight on FanDuel for my lineup. Other than Lucroy, other tournament plays you could use Buster Posey, even though I'm staying away from him tonight because he burnt me last night. Wilson Ramos, he's swinging a hot bat. He hit a home run last night. I think you should always consider Evan Gattis at home because, he's a power bat in that ballpark. It's easy for right-handers to hit home runs. And if you need to punt at that position, if Zunino of Seattle, if he's starting, I would play him, because it's a left-handed pitcher for the Angels pitching. So I would definitely play him because he's 2,700. He hit a home run last night. But, the catcher position is one that you really shouldn't focus on too much. And, that's about all I see at the position with Jonathan Lucroy, being my favorite play for tonight, who I will likely have in my lineup. Moving on to first base, the position that's always stacked every night with so many great, power home run hitters. Tonight, my favorite play is Chris Carter of the Milwaukee Brewers. His price tag is $3,500. They're playing at Arizona, and he's facing a left-handed pitcher in Corbin of the Arizona Diamondbacks. When you look at Chris Carter's stats, his batting average is horrible. Batting .215, that's pathetic for a major league player. But he has 25 home runs this season, and he's been known to hit left-handed pitching pretty well. Now, this is something that I found in my research that y'all might find very, very interesting. I was looking at Chris Carter's game logs, and the last 3 games where he's failed to get a hit, if you look at the FanDuel game log, let's see, where is it? July 28th, he failed to get a base hit. So the next game on July 9th, he hit a home run. The next time he failed to get a hit was July 30th. He failed to get a hit, 0 base hit. And then the very next game on July 31st, he hit a home run. And so now, the next time he failed to get a hit was last night. He was hitless. He was 0 for 5. So I'm hoping he stays on the trend. When he failed to get a hit, the very next game he comes out and get a home run. You know, I hope y'all feeling me on that, if y'all was listening, if I was clear. But that's a little trend that I see. And being at Chase Stadium in Arizona against a left-handed pitcher, I think Chris Carter at 3,500 is a great tournament play, and I think he gets a home run tonight. I'm gonna keep the video moving. Other options at first base, if you're not really feeling the Chris Carter move, definitely Edwin Encarnacion, power righty versus lefty. Miguel Cabrera, he's been heating up. He's been hitting the ball really good. He's a good play. Joey Votto probably would have been my second favorite. I looked at the Roto Grinders weather report, and according to what I saw this morning, the wind is supposed to be blowing out to right field at 10 miles per hour. And with Votto being a lefty going up against a righty in Ivan Nova, I think he's in a great spot to get a home run tonight. I really don't like Chris Davis because he strike out too much. I'm definitely not using Freddie Freeman because I'm all over Christian Martinez tonight. If you're one of those guys that's into stacks, I think stacking the San Francisco Giants lefties, if you made a stack with Brandon Belt, I think that would be really, really good. Like Brandon Belt, Denard Span, maybe Brandon Crawford, and another player. Because everybody not going to pick the Giants because of Steven Strasburg on the mound. So if you can afford to, make an additional lineup, Brandon Belt at 3,100, I think he's a great tournament play tonight. And that's about all I see at first base. Of course, definitely look at who's ever playing at Coors Field. That they're always in play. But I'm going to keep the video moving and move on to second base position. At second base tonight for tournaments, my favorite play for tonight, I used this guy last week when I was having success. San Diego Padres, Ryan Schimpf. His price tag is still below $3,000. It's $2,900. And I believe next week he's going to be like in the mid 3,000s. The reason I like Ryan Schimpf today, for one, he's playing at home, and he's a left-handed batter. And the Philadelphia Phillies, if I'm not mistaken, they got somebody pitching tonight who's making their major league debut. And, I think his nerves are going to set in, being on the road in his first major league game. And somebody's going to, hit a home run off of him. And I think Schimpf is that guy. And at the price tag of $2,900, I think it's a great play. It opens up space for me to pay for other players at other positions in my lineup. A lot of people won't have him. He's batting 6th tonight, I see. But Schimpf, I think people forgot about him because he kind of went cold. But, he's going to be my play for tonight at second base. Other options you could definitely consider. Travis for the Toronto Blue Jays. He's leading off. He had a big game last night. 37.4 fantasy points. But, he might be highly owned, so it might not be too good of a tournament play. That might be a better play for cash games. But Travis leading off, righty versus lefty matchup. I could see him as being a good play. I like Odor for the Texas Rangers. He has a good history against Fister. I think he has at least one career home run, and it's a lefty versus righty matchup. I also think everybody on the Washington Nationals are in play because Matt Cain, the pitcher for the San Francisco Giants, he is absolutely horrible. And I think Murphy, he's a good play, although I'm not playing him tonight. At 4,100, I think he's a good play for second base. Matt Carpenter for 4,000. There's a lot of good plays at second base that you could go. Altuve playing at home. There's tons of good plays at second base in my opinion. D. Gordon playing at Coors Field. But for me, the way how I'm constructing my lineup tonight, I'm kind of paying down at second base. And Schimpf, I think, is a great sneaky play and a great tournament play for me. But, any of those other guys that I mentioned, they'll be good too. They just cost a little more. Moving along, third base position. This is another position I'm paying down for. Right now, I got what's his name at third base, Jed Gayorko for the St. Louis Cardinals. I know that comes to a surprise to a lot of you because there's a lot of better third basemen that you can pick, mainly being Josh Donaldson. Normally, whenever Josh Donaldson is facing a lefty, I say just stick him in there. And the same thing can be said tonight. Just put him in there because he's facing a lefty. He's likely to hit a home run. But, his price tag of $4,200, it's going to be difficult to fit him in there, especially, if you try to get other good players at other positions in your lineup. But, Josh Donaldson, Arenado, they're all the well-known names. Machado. I'm not messing with Jake Lamb tonight after what he did last night. Sorry. Solarte, I think he's good tonight going up against a rookie pitcher at third base. But this was basically a salary decision for me. And I have to mention this. Gayorko, he has, out of all the people on the Cardinals, not many of them have any kind of a sample size against the starting pitcher for the Braves, who is Roberto Hernandez. It's not many players face them. By Gayorko, he had 5 at-bats and 1 career home run. So, with that history, I think he's a very, very contrarian play. And Gayorko, he's who I like at third base for $2,700. I'm not going to say he's the best tournament play, but just the way based on, he's a value play. That's what I should say. He's a good value play. The tournament plays as far as points, I would say Donaldson, Arenado, and maybe Solarte. But that's what I see at third base with Gayorko for the St. Louis Cardinals at $2,700 being my favorite play. He's definitely going to be low owned, and hopefully that history pans out and he can get another home run off of the Braves pitcher tonight. All right, moving on to the next position, shortstop position. Right now, I'm paying down for it. I got Daniel Espinosa for the Washington Nationals at $3,000. Like I said, I think all of the Nationals are in play. If you're one of those players who like to stack, the Nationals are definitely one of the teams that I think would be a good stack. But Espinosa, he's quietly been having a good season. 18 home runs. He's a switch hitter, and he does have a good history versus Matt Cain. I'm going to look it up for you real quick. Where is that? Nationals game. Espinosa versus Matt Cain. In 12 at-bats, he's batting .250, but he has 2 home runs. So 2 career home runs against Matt Cain. He's batting 7th in the lineup tonight, so a lot of people won't be on him, which makes for a great tournament play in my opinion. His price isn't too high, so I love Danny Espinosa at shortstop. Other shortstops you can consider, Brandon Crawford, because everyone's not going to play the Giants because of Strasburg. If you want to be different, he's a good play. Trey Turner, definitely. High price tag, $3,900. He's leading off, left-handed pitcher against a horrible Matt Cain. Everybody on the Nationals in play. Trey Turner, Jason Worth, Bryce Harper, Daniel Murphy, Espinosa, Ramos. All the Nationals are in play. Tulowitzki, lefty versus righty matchup. He could be a good option. And that's about all I see at the shortstop position. For me right now, I like Espinosa. I think he gets a home run tonight. But if I just had to say who's the best shortstop play, I would say Trey Turner, because he got speed and he's leading off, lefty versus righty matchup. And second play would be actually Brandon Crawford. Even though it's Strasburg, I think Crawford at 2,800. You need to save some money at the shortstop position and want to separate yourself in tournaments. Crawford could be a good play. All right, and moving on to the last position, the outfield position. My favorite outfielder for tonight for tournaments, I like Ryan Braun for the Milwaukee Brewers. He has a very, very high price tag of $4,500. It's a lefty versus righty matchup. Prior to last night, Braun, he put up 6 fantasy points, but on August 3rd, he put up 25 fantasy points. August 2nd, he put up 21 fantasy points with home runs in both of those games. He has a good history versus Patrick Corbin of the Arizona Diamondbacks. I'm going to look up his BVP statistics. Let me find it. Ryan Braun, let's see, versus Corbin. Only 5 at-bats, a small sample size, but he's batting .400 with 1 career home run. Chase Stadium in Arizona is a good hitter's environment. So Ryan Braun, he's one of my top choices at the outfield position for tournaments tonight. My next outfielder, this was strictly a BVP statistics pick, batter versus pitcher pick for me. Chu for the Texas Rangers. Chin-So Chu. I think that's how you pronounce it. But he's a left-handed hitter going up against a righty and Doug Fister. But I have to read you his history against Fister. Let's see. Chu. 25 at-bats, which is a good sample size. He's batting .320 with 2 career home runs. And to add to it, Chu, he's leading off. I love to put leadoff hitters in my lineup because they have the most opportunities to get up to the plate. So, Chu, he coming off the disabled list with lower back injuries. A lot of people not really going to think about him when you putting your lineup together. I think Chu is a great play for me tonight for the Texas Rangers. So when I spent that money on Braun and, spending the money on Martinez and Chu at $3,900, it had only left me with $2,200 left. So I had to, dig deep to what player I want. And, this is just a gut call. $2,200 for the Cincinnati Reds, Scott Schebler. He's a left-handed batter. He only got 2 home runs on the season. He's batting .215. When you take a glance at his statistics, he doesn't really look like a good player. But what I like about Schebler, if that's how you pronounce his name, is that I paid attention to that weather report on Roto Grinders. And if it's true, if the wind is blowing 10 miles per hour out to right field, I think Schebler is in a good position to hit a home run. I got a feeling about it. I think, since Jay Bruce left, he takes over that outfield spot. And, he's probably a player that's trying to prove himself. So, I'm going out on the limb and I'm just, sticking him in there. He fits in with my salary. Left-handed hitter, batting 6th. Ivan Nova, a right-handed pitcher, righty versus lefty matchup. Hopefully, I can, catch some good fortune and Schebler can hit a home run tonight. But, don't put much stock into that pick. That's just someone I put in, based on the salary I have left. But I don't want to make the video long, of course. I'm just going to recap, my lineup ideas and my strategy for tonight. I think Christian Martinez, he's going to be my top play for pitcher tonight for tournaments. I do think he will be the chalk. I think he would be heavily owned, 20, maybe 30% owned, because people want to save their money off of Strasburg. And the Cardinals, they're playing against the Braves. You know, my Braves, a weak team. So a lot of people going to be on Martinez. People are going to be scared to pick Duffy because of the Blue Jays. And they're going to want to save money. And that's why they're going to fade Strasburg. So Martinez, I think he's going to be the chalk. But oh well, I want to be with the chalk with pitcher because I need those points. But the rest of my lineup, I think is very, very contrarian. At catcher, I like Lucroy. You know, good ballpark for hitting home runs. Had the day off yesterday. Chris Carter, horrible player for batting average, but he has a lot of power. 25 home runs on the season. Lefty versus righty matchup. I told y'all that little research I saw. The last 2 games where he failed to get a hit. The next game he came out and hit a home run. Hopefully that trend continues. Moving on to second base, Ryan Schimpf. It's a gut move call. Rookie pitcher pitching on the road. I think Schimpf can, get back on track, get some fantasy points tonight. Gayorko, a salary decision for me, but he also have a good history against the Braves pitcher tonight. 1 career home run, so maybe he might bang one out. Espinoza, like I said, I like all the Nationals. And Espinoza, being that he have 2 career home runs against Matt Cain, I'll stick him in my lineup. Chu, strictly a batter versus pitcher statistical move. Career batting 320, 2 home runs, and 25 career at bats. I'm sticking him in there. Also, he's leading off. Ryan Braun, I just went over that. Lefty versus righty matchup. Before last night, he had home runs in back-to-back games. Before I close out the video, other outfielders you can consider. It goes without saying, the Coors Field players, Blackman, Gonzalez, definitely consider them. Mike Trout, he had a home run last night. He may be getting hot. Keep him on the board. I'm not a fan of Ian Desmond after how he burned me last night, but he's a good player. I got to mention this guy. Got to mention him. Nelson Cruz. Lefty versus righty matchup. He a lefty killer. He playing at home. He might get a home run. I'm just not using him tonight because I'm putting my faith in Chu of the Rangers. But if it wasn't for Chu, I initially had Nelson Cruz in there. And lefty versus righty matchup, he has high upside to get a home run tonight. All the Toronto, Bautista, as far as outfielder, the Toronto right-handers, definitely consider them. I mentioned Coors Field, and that's about all the main players I see at the outfield position, and that's all about how I feel about putting together my lineup for tonight. Again, I'm going the second night in a row. No stacks for me. The stacks limit you. You gotta be able to pick from, all the teams. Don't just focus on stacking one team. But I'm gonna close the video out. I don't want to just keep talking. I want to thank my 4 subscribers who subscribed to my channel on YouTube. I want to thank everybody who's joined the Facebook group, Be the Best DFS, Daily Fantasy Sports Talk. Thank all the followers on Twitter. You can follow the Twitter handle at Be the Best DFS. And just thank everyone who support, this movement I'm trying to start up, in this daily fantasy sport industry. Baseball is not my best sport, but I'm definitely going to keep putting in the research, putting in the work, and hopefully I can have some success tonight. So again, thank you everyone for taking the time out to watch this video, and I'll leave y'all with what I always leave y'all with. Try to be the best tonight. All right, I'm out.